This young champion believed he was untouchable.
I'm number one, baby.
I see it going, it won't go past 3. And that's why I stay on.
He convinced everyone that he had already proven his greatness, and carried himself as if the boxing world belonged only to him.
For Kambosos, I have no respect for him at all. At all.
So yeah, Kambosos, going down within 3.
He promised to knock out his opponent, looked at him with disdain, and treated the fight as nothing more than a formality. But inside the ring, a cold reality awaited him. This is the story of Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos. Teofimo Lopez was at the very top. Young, explosive, he had just shocked the world by defeating Vasyl Lomachenko. That victory lifted him to the pinnacle of the lightweight division. He captured all the major titles and became a true star. His record, 16 wins, 12 by knockout, and no defeats. Lopez carried incredible self-confidence, a dangerous right hand, and the reputation of a knockout artist. He didn't just want to win, he wanted to destroy his opponents. On the other side stood George Kambosos, an Australian fighter few people talked about. He was seen as the underdog, a temporary challenger for the champion. He entered the fight with 19 wins, no losses, but almost every expert dismissed his chances. He had speed, grit, and relentless determination. But who could believe he'd get through? Teo. Lopez himself treated him with disdain. He promised a first-round knockout, called Kambosos a zero opponent. He walked into the ring like a king, convinced this fight would be a quick execution. Round 1. The opening bell rang, and Lopez came out like a storm. He charged at Kambosos, throwing wild hooks and heavy right hands, clearly looking for an early knockout. His aggression was reckless, his punches wide. Kambosos stayed calm. He moved, circled, and looked for the opening. And then, near the end of the round, the unthinkable happened. As Lopez lunged in, George Kambosos timed a perfect overhand right that crashed onto Teofimo's jaw. Lopez went down. The champion was on the canvas. Madison Square Garden erupted in disbelief. The underdog had just dropped the king in the very first round. Round 2. Embarrassed and furious, Lopez came out swinging in the second round. He tried to prove that the knockdown was nothing but a fluke. He pressed forward with heavy body shots and wide overhands. But Kambosos remained composed, using his jab and movement, picking his moments carefully. The round was closer, but the momentum had already shifted. Round 3. The Australian began to find his rhythm. His jab snapped into Lopez's face repeatedly. His straight right hand landed clean. Lopez looked dangerous, but he was missing often, swinging at air while Kambosos punished him with sharp counters. Round 4. Lopez tried to bring the fight into close range. He landed some strong body shots and uppercuts, but Kambosos responded with quick 2 and 3 punch combinations to the head. The exchanges were fierce, but the challenger's accuracy stood out. Round 5. Kambosos dictated the pace. He worked behind the jab, keeping Lopez at bay. Every time Lopez attacked, Kambosos responded with sharp counters, frustrating the champion. It was becoming clear, this was not going to be the easy fight Lopez expected. Round 6. Lopez connected with one of his best right hands of the night, momentarily staggering Kambosos. The crowd roared. But George answered back almost immediately with a straight right and a left hook, showing his resilience. Both fighters traded hard shots, leaving the audience on edge. Round 7. Lopez dug deep to the body, trying to wear Kambosos down. Yet George kept moving, kept jabbing, and kept answering with sharp counters. Lopez had moments, but he could not break the challenger's rhythm. Round 8. By now, Kambosos looked like the sharper fighter. He moved brilliantly, stepping in and out, landing clean jabs and straight rights. Lopez's punches grew wider, sloppier. His frustration showed. The underdog was starting to look like the favorite. Round 9. Feeling the fight slipping away, Lopez pressed harder, throwing wild combinations. But Kambosos stood his ground, meeting him with counters and precise punches. It was strength versus precision, and precision was winning. Round 10. Finally, Lopez had his moment. A crushing right hand sent Kambosos to the canvas. The champion roared, the crowd went wild. George was hurt but not broken. He rose, steadying himself, and survived the round despite Lopez's furious onslaught. For a moment, it felt like the tide might turn. Round 11. Instead of folding, Kambosos came back stronger. He pushed Lopez back, peppering him with jabs, combinations, and overhand rights. Lopez looked tired, his punches slowed, while Kambosos poured it on. The challenger closed the round with dominance, showing the heart of a true champion. Round 12. The last round was pure chaos. Lopez, desperate for a knockout, threw everything he had. Hooks, overhands, wild flurries. Kambosos met him in the center of the ring, firing back with sharp counters, refusing to back down. The two warriors went toe-to-toe until the final bell rang. The judges' scorecards read split decision. But the winner, and new unified lightweight champion of the world, was George Kambosos. The crowd erupted. The underdog had done the unthinkable. He had dethroned the champion. Teofimo Lopez's arrogance had cost him. He underestimated a man with iron will, discipline, and an unbreakable heart. And in that ring, it was George Kambosos who stood tall, proving that sometimes belief and determination can topple even the mightiest of champions. This was not just an upset. It was one of the greatest shockers in modern boxing history.
I'ma wash up in Gennady Golovkin's blood, then dig the hole where the hole's already dug, then bury him.
And come Saturday, I'm gonna Gennady up.
The night of November 2, 2013, at the legendary Madison Square Garden Theater in New York City, was filled with electricity and excitement. Over 5,000 fans gathered to witness one of the most anticipated middleweight clashes of the year. On one side stood Gennady, GGG, Golovkin, the undefeated WBA and IBO world champion from Kazakhstan, with a terrifying record of 27 wins, 24 by knockout. Known for his relentless pressure, iron chin, and devastating punching power, Golovkin was already becoming one of the most feared men in boxing. On the other side was Curtis Stevens, the Brooklyn native fighting on home turf. Stevens was known for his explosive power and fearless attitude, promising to bring the fight straight to Golovkin and shock the world. In the build-up, tension ran high. At the press conferences, Stevens taunted GGG, even miming a coffin gesture to symbolize his plan to bury Golovkin's undefeated record. Golovkin, calm and composed as always, simply smiled and delivered his now famous phrase, "Big drama show." Fans knew this fight would not go the distance. Both men were dangerous punchers, and it was only a matter of time before someone fell. Round 1, feeling the power. The opening bell rang, and both fighters met at center ring. Golovkin immediately began cutting off the ring with his trademark footwork, stalking Stevens with calm aggression. Curtis moved cautiously, aware of GGG's power, and tried to establish his jab to keep distance. Midway through the round, Golovkin landed a stiff jab that snapped Stevens' head back, sending a clear message about his strength. Stevens fired back with a quick flurry to the body, earning a cheer from the crowd, but Golovkin remained composed. The round ended with GGG controlling the pace and showing why he was considered one of the most dangerous fighters in the world. Round 2, Golovkin turns up the heat. Golovkin pressed forward with more urgency, doubling up on his jab and cutting off every angle as Stevens circled. Curtis managed to land 2 sharp hooks to the body, momentarily slowing GGG, but it only seemed to anger the champion. Golovkin responded with a heavy right hand followed by a left hook that rocked Stevens. The crowd roared as Golovkin pushed Stevens to the ropes and unloaded with short, precise shots. By the end of the round, Stevens was visibly shaken, his face already showing signs of damage. Round 3, Stevens' best moment. Knowing he couldn't just retreat, Stevens came out aggressively, throwing looping power punches. Midway through the round, he landed a massive left hook that briefly stunned Golovkin, one of the rare times GGG had been visibly affected. The crowd erupted, sensing a potential upset. But Golovkin, showing his granite chin, simply nodded and marched forward. He answered with a brutal right to the body that took the wind out of Stevens and followed with a flurry to the head. Despite Stevens' effort, Golovkin re-established control by the round's end, proving that even Curtis' best wasn't enough to stop him. Round 4, the knockdown. Golovkin began the 4th round with cold, calculated pressure. He trapped Stevens near the ropes and set him up with a jab before unleashing a perfect right cross followed by a devastating left hook. The punch landed flush, and Stevens fell flat on his back, staring wide-eyed at the ceiling in shock. The crowd exploded in disbelief. It looked like the fight might be over right then and there. Somehow, Stevens beat the count, rising on unsteady legs, his determination carrying him through. Golovkin moved in for the finish, hammering Stevens with power shots, but the bell rang to end the round. The image of Stevens' stunned expression became one of the most iconic highlights of GGG's career. Round 5, Survival Mode. Stevens came out showing incredible heart, trying to keep Golovkin off with looping counters. But GGG was methodical, targeting the body with hooks and uppercuts that echoed throughout the arena. Every punch seemed to sap Stevens' energy. Although he landed a few clean shots to remind Golovkin of his own power, Curtis was clearly in survival mode by the round's end, breathing heavily and retreating under pressure. Round 6, Relentless Assault. Golovkin's dominance was now overwhelming. He cut off every escape route, forcing Stevens into corners and punishing him with perfectly placed combinations. GGG mixed up his attack, heavy body shots to bring Stevens' guard down, then snapping headshots to follow. The champion's precision was surgical, and Stevens' face was marked with swelling and bruises. The crowd alternated between roars of excitement for Golovkin's performance and admiration for Stevens' bravery. Round 7. Fighting on heart alone. Stevens came out for round 7 determined to show he wouldn't quit. He landed a strong right hand that momentarily slowed Golovkin and earned loud cheers from the Brooklyn crowd. But GGG smiled, unhurt, and immediately went back on the attack. Midway through the round, Golovkin trapped Stevens on the ropes and unleashed a flurry of power punches. Stevens absorbed shot after shot, somehow staying upright through sheer willpower. By the bell, his legs were shaky, and his punches had lost most of their snap. Round 8, the beginning of the end. Golovkin continued to break Stevens down systematically. His jab was like a hammer, setting up brutal combinations. Every time Stevens tried to move or clinch, GGG created space and punished him with short hooks and uppercuts. The referee and Stevens' corner were both watching closely, knowing the end was near. The challenger's face told the story: swollen eyes, a busted nose, and exhaustion written all over him. Round 9, the stoppage. Golovkin came out determined to finish the fight. He immediately drove Stevens back to the ropes and unleashed a merciless barrage. Crushing body shots, vicious uppercuts, and thudding hooks. Curtis barely threw back, trapped and overwhelmed. With Stevens defenseless and the punishment mounting, the referee stepped in and waved off the fight, ending the bout at 2:31 of round 9. Golovkin calmly raised his hands in victory, as the crowd roared its approval. Stevens, though beaten, received a standing ovation for his incredible courage. Aftermath and legacy. This fight was a defining moment in Golovkin's career. He had faced a dangerous puncher, absorbed his best shots, and systematically dismantled him with relentless skill and power. The 4th round knockdown became one of the most replayed highlights in boxing, a testament to Golovkin's destructive ability. Analysts praised GGG's footwork, timing, and composure, noting how he controlled every aspect of the fight from start to finish. Stevens, though defeated, earned massive respect for his heart. Most fighters would have stayed down after that brutal knockdown, but he fought on, giving fans a thrilling display of grit and determination. His bravery turned the fight into an unforgettable classic.